What is up, YouTube? This is Fortress Striker coming to you live for another DBS podcast. Although you may see a couple of names there on the video, there's only going to be one guest of today here to join us in our podcast, and that is Yeovani. So, Yeovani, how you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing good, Kevin. Reprint season is upon us.
It's unbelievable. All these gold cards I have here posted in the Discord, and we're gonna see some cards coming to the championship and new promo cards that are basically be a new change game for the new Unison, and probably we're gonna see how this could affect now with our new sets. So let's get started, shall we? So today, let's go ahead. We're gonna talk about the reprinted cards that is now coming in for the set. So first we got the We Are Universe 7.
Yeah, that looks pretty good.
I guess I'll just read them off since we don't have to read the effects, as most people do know. So we got We Are Universe 7, Son Goku making an entrance, Zeno the Playing God, Android 20 this Zeno, when I first saw this Zeno, I literally was gonna post, oh my god, why would they reprint a banned card? But then it's only the button that got banned, not this card.
Exactly.
So
not our Lord and Savior.
No, it's not. Probably like me, people may got a little confused for a brief moment, and then I was like, okay, no, it's not. So we got Android 20 Vile Creator. The card that we're gonna mainly talk about, Grade 8 Son Goku Saiyan Instincts. Strike for Jace. And we got Cell Android Absorber and Cell Devourer of the Masses and Desperate Measures, and that's pretty much it. Oh, there was like one more, oh sorry, and we forgot the one more card. It was it's your favorite. It's for the Invoker Goku. It's the field spell.
Oh yeah. Like I see some Invoker bias from Bandai here. Like, we got Universe 7, we got the field spell. I'm just like, Oh.
Okay, so
anyway.
So let's go ahead and talk about. So I'm thinking like some of these cards were not as exciting for like big reprints here, because honestly they didn't seem a lot more impact for the game that people were expecting to see, like a little more class. Like, because I've seen a lot of these championship cards, and to be honest with you, some of them are just not really worth, unless maybe Son Goku making the entrance. And honestly, the only one card that people are gonna be wanting to get and trying to work for it is Great Ape Son Goku Saiyan Instincts. And this is a card we've mostly been talking about a lot for weeks. If most people watch our show, for those who don't, you should know that if you're not a new player, obviously, that this card has been pretty much the biggest thing that's been affecting the whole game. Before the set 10 release cards, and all the effects have been going through a lot with it, just because it's, an instant draw 2, and it's been mostly a 4 of in most decks, and it's been going up in price lately. It's been going like the highest up to at least $150. It goes a little lower now. It is getting to be reprinted as a copy for this championship pack, but at the same time, that's not really enough, because people don't want to see this as a championship card, because you have to enter tournaments, you gotta win this card, and the worst part about it, because it's a championship card, it has more value than even the card itself. And even I know that card could be just lowered a little bit of price just because it got reprinted, but again, this is a championship card, so it may not really count it, since it wasn't reprinted like in a special box, or it wasn't reprinted in a anniversary box or any sort. And I think honestly, like, the fact that this card getting reprinted as a championship is really going even higher by value, especially for the original card itself. So it's even harder to even get this card, no matter how you do it, since that's the way Bandai thinks.
I mean, well, there's a couple points. I find it interesting that we're getting Zeno, the Playing God, as a reprint. Like, I was like, are they trying to tell us something with this inclusion? I was like, is it going to be more relevant now? We're going back to monocolors. What was the other? Oh, the 3-drop cell. They actually, I think this is probably the first or second card that they reprinted with an errata text on it. So it has the new text from an errata on it. So I'm like, well, that's great. That's a great step in the right direction. But now they need to reprint other cards with change text as well. outside of event packs too. I mean, I kind of see why they did it. Like they know they want to boost up the Cell Surge deck. They gave it a new card and they just pretty much gave you the engine this event pack.
Yeah, that's agreeable. I see like a
You
lot
know,
more
but
cell cards here.
yeah. So, but the most important card, without a shadow of a doubt, is the Great Ape Saiyan Instinct Son Goku. It's one of the best cards in the game, and it's borderline a staple heading into set 10. If you, I don't see why a deck shouldn't run this. It doesn't even matter. Like even Ags are running it now. I mean, like it's just a +2. It's so good. Like why wouldn't you run it? So for them to put it in an event pack is maybe
Okay. Uh, yeah, so I agree with that. And also that the best thing about this card is since is all you gotta do is just use it for a combo and then just have it in the dropper. You can main it in most mono decks anyway. It's a good thing because it doesn't have to say if your entire deck is mono, like certain cards like the
well, oh, of course.
no,
But
like
I was
sorry, like those special cards, like the ones that require that your entire deck has to be full of mono in the deck or hand and graveyard. But most of the time, like at least this one doesn't have in this set, it doesn't require to having your entire deck mono, because you can actually literally tech this card as well as the same other cards like Champa, and you can still play it. But certain cards, like if you want to mainland the deck, you have to play the entire color set. Unlike unless like you're playing U3 Black or you're playing the Vegings deck, which is a different story because it does require itself to main the color anyway. And of course another thing with Black is they already have their own Great Ape, and that's the Boo, so they don't have to worry about that card. So this one, on the other hand, you could just main it as another deck. So if you have your own hands from it, if you purchase this from the draft box or got a lucky pull from draft box, or if you're willing to go into the championships and trying to go ahead and win this card, good luck with that. Like if you already have a couple playsets and you got maybe one or two more that you needed, then you're all set. I mean, so as long as you got this card, guys, I mean that's a great thing. But at the same time, it really hurts most of the other players because we discussed this multiple times that the fact that these are cards you cannot get, especially since this is a draft box card, is a huge insult since we can't really achieve this card. And since this is now reprinted as a championship pack, it's even more unfair that players can't even receive it. So it's actually going to be a little bit difficult to apprehend this.
what I was gonna say. It was like it's an event pack card, so we're gonna get events soon. Like PPG Orlando in September hasn't been canceled, and next month at Gamers R Us, they're gonna try to host an event. So if we start getting events back, Orlando may be the first time that we could get a crack at these event packs and champ pack cards for this year. And you know, I was worried a little bit because it's an event pack card. I think they did it as an event pack card to not kill and depreciate the value of the card. The only other printing was Draft Box 4. Because I know that they knew that the players wanted the card, they want to have access to the card. I mean, it could be the most common reprint of the event pack, we don't know. But they definitely wanted to give us access more to the card and just not have us like, you could pay $150 or not have it, like what we're facing with SS3 Tag Team Gohan right now. But even though he's dropped down to like $89 at the moment of this recording, but I don't know. I mean, it'll be interesting because like if you do go to an event, like even if you scrub out of the main event, you could do all these side events and the Gunslinger, so you can win so many packs that eventually you're gonna pull this card. Excuse me.
Okay.
And, so I don't know, like they're helping us, but at the same time, they're careful to not destroy their secondary market. Even though with the ban list, they kind of showed us they don't care about the secondary market. Like they don't care, but they're not willing to destroy it. So, I'm waiting to see how much access we're gonna have to this card.
That's fair. I've also want to note that also for many people, since they do know, with the whole situation now, it's even gotten worse with the whole riot situation and everything. I've always wanted to make sure, like, let's like know this for example. Okay, so what is the time and day of this Orlando event?
The end of September, I believe.
Okay. If we can all seriously make it through this, this crisis of anything and we're open, I'm hoping that some people will try to come around. I know most people from Florida will have a chance since they can just take a 4 hour drive if you live here, like around Miami or Key West or so. Or if you live a little bit further up, up north of Florida, maybe like a little 5 hour drive, depending on like Tallahassee or Panama City. I think they'll be all fine, but maybe some people in around Georgia or Alabama, since we're very close. I do worry for the fact that because I just don't want to continue seeing this riot thing. But luckily, we have a couple months away, so let's give us a time and efforts to go ahead and just wait to see. Because I know a lot of people want to do these tournaments and all. I just really hope for pray for all these people for their safeties and hoping that some of them try not to do as much crazy things in the riot. And I don't want to really discuss this much in our podcast, but I did want to bring it up because it is pretty much effective, and every issue was going on, especially with our most downtowns here in Miami have been getting a little chaotic. And I'm hoping everything in Orlando is safe because people are trying to get their places back. Like even Disney World itself is trying to open up soon, and they're trying to take their time and effort to clean up the park and try to make sure that everyone has a good time since most of Florida is trying to start getting open. But at the same time, I just don't want any damages or anything because then they have to cancel the event, or they probably had to do the championship online like we did with the coronavirus before. And I think that's gonna hurt people because you never know if you're gonna get the card or not unless you contact the like most of the PPGs and tell them, oh, I'm this person, I just won. And if they know you anyway and you already won that major tournament, that'd be a different story. But some other people from around the world wanted to join this tournament and they wanted to achieve to get this card because seeing this card being an event pack means a lot because that means they can have a chance to actually own this card instead of spending over $150 or trying to hope that this card gets lowered down in price, which is obviously never going to happen since it is a main card that you would do in most decks.
Yeah, that is issue. I mean, it's gone down a little bit, but it's holding steady. And that's the thing, like even if they give us reprints of certain cards in the way that they do it. Now, if a card is super valuable, it's just not gonna deteriorate in value quickly. It's not like back when the first few sets. Like, oh, it's not good anymore. Oh, this card's not as great, not meta. It would dip down. These cards hold a little bit more value now, and Dropbox 4 started that trend. So I mean, just have to see. And the other thing is kind of like like well we'll see. Like this was the best event pack card, all of them.
It's the only one that people were focused because most of these other event cards are kind of meh anyway.
Like, they're nice as reprints. That's most of these cards got foiling for the first time, and one of the cards got in a wrought up text printed on the card, but there's nothing like wow outside of the ape.
Yeah, that's true. And obviously, the only second close I mentioned earlier, like I said, it was this Black Goku card, mostly because it's that one drop counterattack. And I guess the other one will be the Zeno playing God. I mean, a lot of people are glad to see this card, make a comeback again, maybe,
Yeah,
like you said.
I mean,
But we don't really know for sure what's gonna happen. But maybe we will see this card again since we do get new support from the set two. Since this is also a set two card, since Zamasu was from set two, and we do get like new cards to help the deck around, and especially the Zeno Unison that most people will try to
Goku
main.
Black was also still fed too.
Exactly. No, yeah, we know. Yeah, we know. Goku Black is part of this, but like in the storyline, if you watch DBS, obviously you know that they're the same person. So we just mostly call it Zamasu deck.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, Goku Black deck is two because I know most people don't want to use dumps. They want to go like with the old school Goku Black leader that most people are playing with the decks for. But like they're just trying to see how it goes. So possibly seeing these event cards means there might be some decks making a comeback and so maybe come to set two. I mean, not set two, tier two, maybe tier 1.5 or anything. But we'll have to wait and see. Of course, some cards like the Strike Force Jace, I'm not really sure this card could be very useful. I guess maybe it was
That
for Ginyu or
that one
something.
left a lot of the Jace left a lot of people scratching their head. Like Desperate Measures was kind of a good reprint to get it in a different foil rarity since it was a draft box 4 card. But like all the other cards outside of the ape were in actual sets. So I mean, I don't know. Like Bandai has a plan, and I've been saying this, and I've been hammering this point. Like they have a specific vision, and I don't think that they choose cards randomly. Like people will sit here and tell you, "Hey, look, I think they just like eeny, meeny, miny, mo," but I don't think that at all. I think they chose these cards for a purpose, and I remember when the dev went to Orlando and he was playing Toa, and she wasn't even out yet, and he was like, they asked him in an interview, what deck he felt would change the meta, and he said Toa, and it happened. So I mean, I don't think these cards are by chance here. I think there has to be a specific reason, and I guess in time will tell. But in the future, we might see why these were chosen.
As an expert and stuff like that, I understand what he meant because I get what he mean. Like when the first original draft box came out and it had the filler Hercule, the Mecha Frieza, it had the crappy blue Goku leader, and there was a red one. I can't remember. Oh no, it was the Majin Vegeta, yes. Okay, and those were the 4 cards. And out of the 4, obviously the best one was the Mecha Frieza. And some people maybe not think this card was getting good, but I read this card, I look at the effect, and as a guy who's been playing Yu-Gi-Oh for a long time, as most people do know, because you're so used to these weird effects that they do, that these broken styles of the combos and stuff. Obviously, just reading Mecha Frieza was like, this card is gonna be meta. Some people may have disagreed at the time, but then now look at this right now. One person who's probably famous can admit it, and it's a really good card, and that's true. I don't need to take credit for it. I just try to make sure, yes, as long as this card is going to be the card I knew it's going to be meta or something that's going to change the game, I would have called it. If not something like Mecha Ace was nothing I wasn't thinking of, because people could be creative later on, but still, the leader ended up becoming the most broken thing, and people were maining it until they errata the effect, and even so, it was still like something that people wanted to see and play it out, and it worked pretty well, and I tried my best with the deck myself in my own way, but it never works because of how I made my style of cards on like other top tier players, but it doesn't matter because we called it, and like the guy, he called it right for Toa, and Toa became meta, and it made a huge change game for the game, So we probably would see cards like this change around, but we'll have to wait and see what happens. But either way, I doubt most of these cards, other than Ape, and I'm gonna say Ape and Zeno, they're probably not gonna be as big.
I mean, I think the Goku negate, and if Self Surge is big, well then he's got like 3 cards. I mean, the Invoker cards they make sense because that deck is still probably tier 1 because of that new Goku.
Yeah.
But the Jace needs a red, a Frieza, what is it, clan or army leader? So
army.
That's interesting. So I'm like,
Yeah.
And the only two, huh?
No, go ahead. Sorry.
And the only 2 choices you have are the Clash leader or the one from set 9. So on that.
That's true. Of course, like and I'm also thinking of set 6. The one that's supposedly cripple your opponent's hand or field. I forgot. It's the one that it's the one that's supposed to be like a true troll deck where like you're allowed to play that 3-drop extra card, and it's just like it's supposed to like cripple your opponent from playing anything.
Yeah, that's the Frieza Prism deck from what was that, set 7?
6. It was the Broly set.
Yeah, that's set 6. My bad. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember my friend George. He showed me that deck because he built it, and I fought against it. And that deck was just so devastating when you played in another deck, other than Broly, because Broly was like the only other deck that actually kind of went against it.
That was a great format. I played Skillless back then.
It was a great set. Like I said though, I wish it wasn't expensive. It sold out because they still like it was like the first toying with our wallets before Draft Box 4. So
I mean, yeah, that set was the pretty much. I wouldn't say the turning point, but it made our cards more valuable. That's for sure.
Yep. Okay, so I guess that's pretty much all the talk we have for these championship cards,
Y-
right?
Yeah, the event packs.
Yeah.
Or yeah, for the event pack cards. Because next is the championship cards it decided to drop us and surprise us with.
Yeah, I always get those confused championship events. So, yep, just bear in mind, people.
Yeah, I mean, this year is really frustrating because like they all kind of look similar, except when you see the event pack, it has the 2020 in the back ready. It's like the only difference that, because if you didn't know that, you could mistake them. I don't blame you.
Yeah, but these cards are pretty good. I like day two though when we were talking, but we'll get to the point. So, okay, so most people don't see the cards because I know they look a little blurry in the video. So don't worry, I'll just read them out from my phone. So the first thing we got is Super Saiyan 3 Gogeta, the Super Warrior Evolution. It is our new Unison card. It has dual attack, permanent. If your leader card is Blue Saiyan card and you have a Blue Saiyan card in play in rest mode, your leader card doesn't take damage from attacks. Activate main by paying 1 mark. Choose up to 2 of your opponent's battle cards, return them to the owner's hand, then choose up to 1 mono blue Saiyan card with an original energy cost of 2 or less in your hand and play it with its skill negated for the turn.
Yeah, this I think this is gonna be really good. Like, I think it's better than the Gogeta we get in the starter deck, which I was just like, wow, okay, like they're similar. Um, I think this guy's a 3, so you summon him for 3, and he's 20k too. Like, you have to put 5k more. You have to combo. Like, he's gonna be a little harder to get off the field, and the fact that your leader doesn't take attacks if you have a blue Saiyan in rest mode, that's pretty easy with the trunks you get in the starter deck. You just pay a mana, summon the trunks, and play dude, I believe, is how it works, and then that's pretty good. Top of that, I was thinking of playing like kind of like, since we have a blue and a Goku and Vegeta, they're vanillas. They could summon like 20k beat sticks off of him. So like it could be interesting. I maybe that's why maybe that's why. I don't know. Like I was thinking, well, like now that Gogeta Seven's kind of gone, that could have given this Unison and whatever blue deck a little bit more oomph to it.
I think that was the thing. I think that's the reason why they kind of banned it, because they were going to present this card, but the problem was that this card was going to be released. It would have been a huge problem dealing with the 7 drop again, making either the Vegeta, basically I think the Vegeta leader like a little bit more, devastating, make more challenge close to it against Vegix instead of like instead of Zamasu, or like how it could have like changed the whole gamescape depending on how you run this card and how people would have seen the combo. But in honest fairness, that this card it's really good, and it is balanced because, as you can tell, as it only has 1 mark and you can only pay with 1 mark, so it obviously cannot add up. You're gonna have to like continue wasting until it has 0 marks, which is a fair balance to this card, because this card already has a buzzet effect. It basically just protects your leader card, so it itself takes the damage, but you have to put a lot more effort to stop it, because even though yes you can combo with it, but it's still telling you still got to pay a lot more of your combo cards from either your field or hand. So it's telling you waste your hand combos that you're going to use for defense or certain offense depending on the certain type of idea of battle you're trying to do against your opponent, and it's preventing you to do anything, which is a great wall for the Blue Saiyan decks.
So like, there's only 2 ways you could get more markers on this card. One is summoning it for like 4 or more mana, and the other way, let's say you have it on board and they didn't kill it, you could pay 1 mana, put another of the same Unison under it, and it'll gain a marker. So you could still give it markers. Well, the second way is the only way to add on if it's on the field, but like there's ways to get it with more than 3. But yeah, it's pretty strong.
Yeah, it's very dope. It's very doable, and it's a great start for a championship card, because you do want to give a good start to most players, saying that, look at this card, this is pretty good. in most Blue Insane decks, and
Oh,
it could actually maybe work well with the reprinted blue starter Goku leader.
Soul Striker.
That's right, the true card, not SS3, because that's copy that card.
I mean, Soul Striker reboot, like, he's looking like he's come back and he could be meta, so give him a toy.
That's
That's interesting. Here's the one thing, because I know we're going to see the Metacooler Unison later on, but there could be some people really, really mad that these good Unisons are promos. So we'll
I'm
just have to wait and see.
If they were dash pack, they wouldn't have cared. But because these are championship packs, this is a different thing, and that's gonna be a lot more money to spend. And whew, I don't know what to say.
Towards the end of this, when we talk about all the cards, I'm going to ask you, well, what happens to the Volume 1 Championship pack cards, you know?
All right.
'Cause- So keep going.
No, yeah, I was
Next card.
okay. Our next one is Bulma. The adventure begins. Nice being in a bunny suit. Okay, and her effect is she's a blocker, and her permanent is if your leader card is Yamcha, this card can be KO once per turn. So that's all you guys. That's all it is. It's just for you, Gio. So you take it away.
Um, you know, like, it's only going to be basically pretty good if it's in a Yamcha deck. I mean, see its value as a blocker that just doesn't die like the Universe 11 guy, that he will block and not die, he would still stay there and be annoying. Like, if I guess if you made like a stall deck, a more stally kind of mid-rangey deck, viability. But other than that, I haven't really figured out a way for this card. Like, it's a really good looking card, and people like waifus, so I mean, there's that.
She was the
But
original waifu, technically.
yeah,
Of course,
so I mean,
yeah. I would say I did like this card, and I know you're gonna like it because it's good for your Yamcha burn, so that you have a little stall. If it actually said that if your leader is an Earthling leader or it would just say Yamcha, and you could just summon this for free, then this card would have been way better than you
I mean,
expected to be.
with the Bulma super combo, you could summon it for free.
Okay, then there you go. We got an easy way to summon this, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, but like outside of that, and maybe the Bulma SR, like, there's not too many ways to cheat it out, but there's some. So, we'll see if it catches on, does anything.
Oh,
It's a really good looking card, though.
yeah, of course you have to like if you're desperate in the game you have to decide if you want to summon this first so you can save your strategies for like certain cards for your next turn or anything, because that's only if you're really desperate and your opponent has you like in their major advantage on the field, like they
I
have you
mean,
under pressure.
early on, it's an annoying blocker, that's for sure.
Oh, straight up, yeah, you just summon this, you have to like summon at least two battle cards or wait a couple turns or so to stop this.
You have to respect it because she's a blocker.
She's a decent blocker, like maybe about two of her in this deck,
Yeah, I can see it.
2 to 3. Okay. Alright, so our next card is going to be the Trunks Never Ending Justice. Another blocker, and his permanent is during your opponent's turn, if all of your energy is mono blue and you would reveal this card from your life to add it to your hand, you may play it instead. Auto effect, when this card is played, choose up to two of your opponent's battle cards and return them to their owner's hands.
Yeah, this is one of the better championship cards because it does something that the actual deck, like, you're gonna be taking your life and like you're gonna be showing it to your opponent since he can't get killed, but he's a free 15k body, and a free 15k body that's all block. So, and when he gets played, he chooses two battle cards, and returns them to their hand. So, like, you just get straight up value with this card. I like it a lot for what the deck wants to do.
I agree, it's a really good card. If you pull it out, you just reveal it and you already have a free blocker. That's straight up cool. I would say though, I've always do have one problem for me because I love, I mean, compulsory is what we call it. You know, returning to the hand is a really good thing in most games. But only one problem for that is DBS, yeah, has more advantage for other players because since they use it for combos. So it's like it's really good, no doubt. Obviously, I wouldn't argue with that. I mean, I still think it's one of the best things, but at the same time, it's kind of bad because since we do combo out of the hand, it actually just gives your opponent a little more advantage because despite yeah they lose their big boy fields and they have to wait another turn. That's one thing. But in just in case you return some like blockers or anything else, just in case you're very desperate or you don't know what you're doing accidentally, just because sometimes these games take a little longer. It could be like a little misstep, and you have to time this card right sometimes, or unless you just want to summon this and you need a blocker and you're just gonna hold it up for the next turn and try to do a strategy where you can evolve this into the 6-star, the 6 energy sword flash trunks so that you can go ahead and give it like about like a triple strike or anything, depending on how you run this card. But either way, great card, really recommended. Would say about maybe 3 to 4 in certain decks. Of course, like you're mostly gonna draw a lot, so maybe around up to 3 because you never know if you're gonna see this in your life. So because you might get at least one or two cards.
You need more than two. I was gonna agree with you though. Like the returning to the hand is something that they give to blue, and it's one of the worst things. I kind of wish that this card said return to the bottom, the return the 2 cards to the bottom of the owner's deck. That would have been better since that's also a blue effect that they're getting now.
I was thinking that
I mean,
because I was remembering like set 4 during when we had the flute, and I read that card and I was like return to the hand. And it was like okay, it was cool and on, and we know that it was broken because most people never return to their opponent's hand. It was mostly returned to your hand so you can summon, attack, return it, and then maybe you can resummon it again just in case you have more energy, since it's a blue deck, or you could just save it up and then use it for a combo piece for later on. Like a little bit what Pan does, except she does it to herself, and Flute lets you return it, and then it has the effect saying if you return a card, you draw. Yeah. Well, but the problem with that is that compulsory in DBS it is good if you get rid of the big, if like you get the powerhouses, because there are some of them that require like a lot of energy to play, or they have a special ability to play, which is a different story. But you want to get rid of them so you don't have to deal with them all the time, or some blockers or revengers or whatever they have, which is fine. But at the same time, it's bad because then you're giving your opponent a higher chance to use those cards for the defensive step, or they can use it to activate an effect, or just combo on, then replay the card, let them do all their stupid crazy tactics again, just in case they can't draw another copy, or they want to do this stupid double copy of this card combo, in their field, and then try to go for a game or anything. So it's not I'm saying it's a bad card, folks. I just saying like you gotta be extra careful with compulsory, and I know most players do, and they get to their head saying this is pretty good, this is really awesome, but you have to understand it's at the same time really bad. So I do prefer that in this game you do want to return cards to the deck, because that way they don't have the advantage of their hand, and they have to redraw the card, and they don't get to their main tech cards that they need to get in their deck, which is a major problem. And also, just to edify, I remember I think this deck did a lot like setting cards to the bottom, but I'm just thinking of me setting my own cards to my own deck because that's what Trunks works. So
yeah, this is he's a whatever you want him to be kind of deck. He's not really an aggro or mid range. He's kind of like a defensive deck. It's kind of
no, yeah. So
some people are just like they don't know how good it's gonna be. So that's another thing. So it gets a champ pack promo. So we'll have to see.
Yeah, so if I would recommend, maybe about 3 would be fine. Yes, if you get him in the life, that's the big thing, because that's how you get a free summon, because otherwise he's just a combo piece in your hand. You don't want to just straight up normal summon him, so that's pretty much it. Alright, so let's go to our next card. It is Vegeta, Appetite for Battle. Auto effect, if your leader card is a green Son Goku card, when this card is played, shuffle up to 7 mono green battle cards with an energy cost of 7 or less that don't have super combo skills from your drop area into your deck.
Do you want to go first? Or?
Yeah, I pretty much not really a fan of this card. Um, like, like I don't care if it says Green Sun Goku. I thought it was okay. It's a fine. I'll say yes. It's just a pot of avarice. There's nothing wrong with that because you do want to get some of your cards back in your deck. So, but what kills it is it does say that you can bring back super combos, and I get that because you don't want to get your opponent, you don't want to give yourself a higher chance to super combo out and then try to get a higher chance to being your opponent's main battle cards or attacking their leaders or even their unisons just in case of how it works. But I feel like this card is to me is kind of meh when I just read this, and I don't know. I just don't really feel the gesture with this card when you just summon it. I mean, it's good. It's a one drop, and you like I said, it's just one drop pot of average. But yeah, besides the idea of super combos, I don't know. For some reason, I just feel kind of mad with this card.
It looks meh, but with the new Green Goku from set 10, this is actually it could I don't know if it could be insane with that leader because he's always bursting. So the fact that he's like Vegix where he can't deck out except Vegix does this the leader ability, and Goku got one drop. But it synergizes because the Bardock Unison sacks one drops and makes somebody discard a card. Like there's synergy there. Um, I don't know if they're gonna main deck it or use it, but like, I mean, at the very least that deck will side it because they don't want to deck out since they're bursting a lot of cards. So that's the only applications that I see for it, really.
I'm mostly thinking of the Goku leader from the Clash of Fate set.
That's cool. Yeah, he's gonna use it as well.
All right, maybe when we get a better green leader, Goku leader, maybe we'll see. Okay, so our next card.
Tournament one is also coming back too.
Oh, actually, that's a good idea. There you go. Okay, there we go. All right. Next, we got a really good card I do want to talk about. It's the Divine Judgment extra card. Counter attack. If your leader card is Zamasu card, negate the attack. You may place the top card of your deck in your energy and rest mode. If you do, you can activate copies of this card for the turn, and you can only play Zamasu cards, Goku Black cards, or Mono Blue Unison cards with a specified cost of 2 or less for the game. So I will go first on this one, and it's really a good negate. I do like how you get to stop an attack and then you get to fill up your energy. So that's pretty much what it does. It becomes the new replacement after they banned the one drop Zamas extra card. And I'm guessing, like we talked about with SS3 Gogeta, they took that card out for a main reason, not because it was just Zamasu deck, but because I'm guessing it's the whole championship. Which I'm guessing that's what they're going to do with most of these cards, which we kind of get the whole reason why some of these cards got banned for a main reason, but we also get to see these cards, these championship cards coming out and help fill up for the set 10 set. And I do like it. I would say though, one, it requires a Zamasu leader to activate this, so you cannot play this in Goku Black. And number two, if you do play this card, and once you play this card, you can only play the 2 or less Zamasu, Goku Blacks, and Mono Unison blue cards and for the rest of your game. So which means you're gonna have to main 2-drop cards once you activate this. So as great as this card can be very useful, at the same time it's not, because you have to know like how you're building the deck, like because you have to main them in your deck and you can only play them and you can't do anything else unless you have a card effect that states, oh, this card is treated as this number and whatever, kind of like Toppo, but only activates when it's on the field and stuff. Once it's on the field, this card is treated as this permanently, and you can't turn that off. But other than that, it's an okay extra card.
Yeah, I was gonna say I definitely see why they banned a plan for destruction. And I could see a little people are kind of salty that they banned that and give us this. Good card. Don't get me wrong. It's just that the limitations may prohibit the card from actually being kind of like absurd. Like it could be really good, but it has a limitation. So there's only like a set peak that it could reach. I think so. I think it's good. but like I Plan for Destruction is probably better.
Would
Yeah, I mean this is cool. Like this is a negate, right? It's counterattack.
Yes, it's a counterattack, and it requires like 2 energies. So
Yeah, like I mean, well, I mean, in like the set sevens Zamasu deck late game, they could mana this and like try to energy themselves to go for the big fusion guy. I guess. I don't know. I didn't really play those decks too much, but it has potential. But how much? Well, that's time will tell on that.
would you say this card would be at least maybe a side deck card instead of a main?
Yeah, you're playing it in the 65. Most definitely, it's definitely in there. Like ramps you and with Xeno Union, Unison rather.
Okay,
It could be really good. So
all right,
like, it's something you have to do at the right place, right time. You just can't slam it down.
that's fair enough. Okay, so let's go through this next card. This one I dedicate to Alex because I know he's really hyped like I did when I read this card, and that is the Gotenks Genuine Ability. It is a blocker and revenge. Permanent, reduce the energy cost of this card in your hand by 1 for each yellow battle card with 15,000 power in your drop area. Auto effect, when this card is played, choose up to one of your opponent's unison or battle cards in rest mode and it can't attack during your opponent's next turn. Fuck, this is awesome. I love it. This works so well with the Gotenks build, but it's not just for Gotenks because of it. Itself is that you can summon this card and by reducing its energy for every 15,000 power like you have in your drop
Yellow
area,
card.
and you have every yellow card. So yellow can main this card all, and it's so good. And well, of course, a free block and revenge. This made Trunks the free Trunks look nothing. It made the Boma card look nothing because this card has better ways to stop your opponent. It's so countermeasure. It's so good. And its power is 20,000, which is so excellent to go ahead and just stop your opponent's attacks. And you can also prevent your opponent to have some of their battle or unison cards to not turn to active mode. And I like this card so much, and like I said, it's not just a main for Gotenks, even though it is a Gotenks card. It is so main for most yellow decks, and I'm really happy because now with this card, you can main this like in my Golden Frieza, for example, like a little tech, so I can go ahead and just stall my opponent until I find a countermeasure to stop, and I just like it, it's just so good. I have nothing else to say.
It's got blocker and revenge. Like, it's two really good keyword skills together. Um,
It's
It's a definite. Like I think it goes with the theme. Like they want to support the decks you set, and they carefully thought of which archetypes to support, and it goes well in that deck.
it's become the new Android 16 Blocker Revenge from set 2, if you remember that card.
But it's so enough.
So, well, yeah, because we were against Cell at the time, and we had to deal with Cell 7.
SS3 Blue Green also played it. It's awesome.
Oh, really? Okay. Alright, so I guess enough hype for that. Alright, so our next card we're going to be talking about is your card, and I'm going to let you go first on that one, and that's it's Vegix, Father-Son Bond. Union Patora with 2 energy, Trunks Zeno and Vegeta Zeno. Auto effect, if your leader card is a Black Saiyan card, your opponent has 3 or more energy, and you have no battle cards in play. When this card is placed in your drop area from your deck by a skill, you may play this card from your drop area.
It says play this card for free. I don't care that it says when your opponent has 3 or more energy and you have no battle cards. Most players against the Vegix deck, they will eliminate your board. So, and I was thinking about this. Like, it also says Union Patora 2 mana. So is that indicating you pay 2 mana and you go into the 7 drop and it's a cheaper cost than the rare from the set? Like,
Well, it's
a good card.
yeah, it's just yeah, I was gonna say, like, it's just like you pay that amount to summon this guy But instead, you don't have to, since all you gotta do is just do this exact auto effect, and you just get a free summon. Then, like you said, get that summon out the 7-drop one, and then do whatever you need to do, just to hurt your opponent.
It's a free 20k. I mean, even if you just play 2 on the deck, like it's a free 20k. That's pretty good in my eyes. It's a free card, so I like free. And so,
Of course, in
yeah,
your
I
I was gonna say, of course, in your testing, you might see 2, but what if you have? Well, we could see, like, maybe knowing you, you're probably gonna change it up a bit to see, like, you want to see if this card how well it would be in the deck, depending on how you play it.
I would say 2 for like the super hyper aggro decks that don't really want to go into the chain, but like if you're trying to play the chain, maybe you play 4. You know, like if you're going for a more mid-range build. I like it. It's a good card, so I, I'll. I think this is one of the better championship cards. I mean, I could be wrong in the future, but like it look. I think it look. I think it's like a sleeper pick. Nobody's really talking about it.
That's true. I guess some people just like thought it was okay or whatever, but like it's still Vegex, which is the #1 deck that people are gonna be playing. So we'll just wait and see.
The next 3 promos are all kind of ridiculous.
I know this one I'm hyped for. This is my hype, boy. This is my card. It's Meta Kula, Terrifying Horde, a brand new green unison card, and it's so good. Its effect is activate main once per turn. If your leader card is a mono green, play 1 meta token with meta cooler token having 15,000 power, 0 combo cost, and 5,000 combo power. 2 marks. First one, activate main by gaining 1 mark. You may choose 1 card in your hand and discard it, and if you do, draw 2 cards. Second one, by paying 4, activate main, play 3 meta cooler tokens, same thing, 15,000 power, 0 combo with 5,000. This is obviously a great thing for green decks so far. Obviously, I would highly recommend you playing this because it is so well done. Of course, one is going to be the freezer starter, because you do want to not only get rid of dead resources, you can go ahead and discard draw. You're also building up a good field that you can combo out and hurt your opponent, so you have just in case you can draw your combo cards. Of course, for you, if you think it's good enough for you, Gio, I think this would be pretty well done, because another thing I thought with this card is Gohan. Since your leader is technically mono green, and I think this card is pretty well.
Oh yeah, this gives you a nice turn for summoning it for 4, and then I mean, you could also use the +1 marker, but the fact that you could potentially get the unison, a token, more tokens is kind of absurd. It's kind of like a boony but for green. Like I don't know why they did this, but it's like green got all the good unisons. Like honestly, man.
Green decimates so much on the unisons, and then second will obviously be blue.
I think it's a tie between the Mecha Kubora yellow, Zeno blue, and the Sin Shenron red. Like those 3 are they're wild. All of them are pretty wild.
I'm thinking the Zeno, the Bardock, and I would say, and the yellow Mecha Kubora, because that is also a really good card. The Sin Shenron, I just think it was the only unison that was decent out of all, because it had the better effect and it was pretty wild to use in most of the red set. And the black ones, they're okay, but of course, obviously, now we have a new contender, and this card is pretty good, especially if you guys want to go ahead and tech this one as well in your Ginyu deck. Go ahead and try. I'm going to be doing this too, because I'm teching this card with the Golden Frieza one, which you should play. It's really good. And I really can't wait, because I know green is going to be really death-defying to be playing against, since this card is so great to have, and most token decks as well. It is funny that this is the only time Cooler would join the color green, since he's mostly been yellow and Frieza's been in every color.
Imagine they make a shield leader, that yellow shield leader, but green, and plays this card.
It'd be so weird. And maybe they should have done that, because Chill's not getting hype anyway.
The next card.
All right,
It's my boy
it
Gohan.
it's
Oh,
our boy. Thank you. It's our
yeah, you know.
yeah. It's just you play him. I just it just missed the timing for me at the time. Yeah. So Super Saiyan 3. I'm gonna say Team because he is a team. Team Gohan Master Surpass, which is a red-green multicolor, as these are the one of two only multicolor championship cards we have here. He has Energy Exhaust, Deflect, Barrier, Alliance Red Green. This card gains power equal to the total power of cards switched to rest mode by this skill for the battle. Then, if your leader card is a mono red Saiyan card, deal 1 damage to your opponent, and until the start of your next turn, your opponent can't play battle cards with 20,000 power or less unless they place 1 card from their life in their drop area each time. Holy shit. Jay, I'll let you go first.
He is a bomb. The fact that the Gohan burn leader, I think it's just made for him. And the fact that that leader already gets you down to 4. Like the effect works all the way to 4. So if you don't take your own life, you're going to go to 4. And the fact that this is like you drop this guy and then he starts burning them after 4 now, it's kind of ridiculous. Like, this card is insanely good in that deck. Like, I don't know what other Red Saiyans would use it, to be honest. But I know Gohan, the Red Gohan leader will definitely use it. It's an amazing card. And they're finally making good alliance cards. It's like, the ones from that set are a little better now, but like, it was just Alliance is a lot better keyword now than Aegis. Think about that.
No, yeah, because sometimes reading these new effects from multicolor cards was a bit confusing for me and some other players, and I had to get the hang of it. I do like how in this alliance it doesn't require a color cost to summon, so all it does is just pay 1 energy since it's a 10k combo. It does only require you to only play a red leader though, so because it only works that way. Of course, either way, it doesn't matter because it's telling your opponent to, you gotta take a damage first, and then unless they want to summon something strong or like play it for free, no matter what, they have to send another card from their life to their W. So basically, you're forcing your opponent to lose 2 cards to the life, and it really puts a huge damper to them, and 20k is pretty good. And the worst part about that is that once this card is played, you can't use any counters against it since it has deflect, and you can't destroy and barrier. It's just it's ridiculous. And here we're lucky that this card doesn't even have an extra type of ability like double strike or anything, because fucking hell, that's ridiculous if they made this card. I
mean, at least they make it worth paying for. So that I do like it.
It's pretty fair. So I really love this card. So good, And Super Saiyan 3 Gohan, like I never thought of seeing Teen Gohan going like this. Now I've seen them all. Like, this is so awesome. Him, especially wearing the Piccolo cape that he got from Piccolo when he was given with the clothes beam and everything. He looks fucking badass. Like, if Cell ever fought this, he wouldn't even last long.
It looks sick. Like, I can't wait to redo my mono red Gohan burn deck now. I'm excited.
Here lies Gio's wallet.
I will be chasing that. I'll be chasing that card for sure. And, you know me. I don't get excited too much, but like when I see Gohan excites me, and so I gotta.
Yeah, you got to. Okay. All right, and now for our final championship card is the Baby Janemba Hatred and Evil Personified, the red and yellow multicolor card. Energy Exhaust, and it has unique 2 auto effects. The first one is when you play a red-yellow multicolored baby card, you may play this card from your hand. The second auto is when this card is played, look at the top 7 cards from your deck and add up to 2 cards with offering skills among them to your hand. Then shuffle your deck. If you added 2 cards to your hand, choose 1 card in your hand and discard it. Okay, Gio, I want you to go ahead and think about this card.
Of this Baby Janemba?
Yeah, like, what are your thoughts on this card?
I think it's really good in the baby deck. He comes out for free basically, and not only does he come out for free, And look at the top 7. Add 2 cards with offering, not one, but 2. They shuffle your deck, and then if you added 2,
Gio? Gio, I can't hear you. You're kind of muted. I think you try disconnecting. Okay. Okay, we just don't worry, we'll be fixing this. Okay. Gio?
can you hear me now?
Yeah, sorry, something might got cut. Can you repeat yourself?
Okay, I'm saying not only can you play this card for free in the baby deck, right? It looks at the top 7, grabs 2 cards with offering, fills among them, and adds them to your hand. So if you added 2 cards, you get to choose one and discard it. So imagine they start playing the green beers and discarding it. So then they get another battle card to the field. So like they didn't really wait. Like this is a really good card, and it's extra pressure for free.
Yeah, it pretty much.
With it.
Yeah, it also pretty much helps a lot with the baby deck making another comeback after basically being a top deck in during set 8. Now actually it could maybe make another comeback with this new card now. Really good. Really like how the way it runs. I do respect the fact it does have unique, so that way you don't play copies because it does have that second effect that could really be very effective to the game. And I do agree with your idea, like discarding the green beers, because I've seen you done that before, and it does get annoying because it does build your field up so many times. And of course,
The other baby leader too could play it, the one from the actual set.
any baby leader, it doesn't matter because like anyway, like whichever leader that the player's gonna play, whether it's starter, booster, or even draft box promo, you can still run this card and it's still gonna make your deck even very effective and try to make the huge game change of OTK if you want to, depending on which deck you're against, or maybe it might help you play faster, maybe a little bit close to the meta. So it could make a comeback from either come to tier 2 to tier 1.5, depending on how you play this card. Obviously, most people are going to play 4 of these, and we're just going to wait and see like what it does.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, 3. You could play 3 as soon as you rival that multicolored baby comes out for 3. Not a bad thing.
Yeah, it isn't.
You know, the one thing I've learned about this game, a free 15k is a glorious thing, and that's one of the reasons that Turles is banned. He was a dual attack 15k. This one is 16k.
He is 16k, yes.
But a free attacker, I keep saying it, the value in free attackers, free blockers is amazing. So even if it just is one card to add that little bit of pressure, it makes all the difference in you holding a negate or you using it. I do like it.
I very much like this. It's really good. Okay, and that's pretty much all the championship cards. So let's go ahead to our final discussion before we call it a night. So which one did you want to discuss about Gio?
So these are the Volume 2 championship cards. What's gonna happen with the Volume 1 one? Because like the events were shut down by the coronavirus, so not everybody had stored championships. Do you think they're just gonna hand both of them, or because I can't imagine that they was like, oh, we have these Volume 2 ones now, so the Volume 1s are out of print. Like that would kind of be ridiculous. Do you think they're just gonna give out Volume 1 and Volume 2 and event pack and champ pack cards at event or store championships? Because you can also get the event packs that store championships as well.
I guess it depends. I'm not really sure because yes, it does kind of show like these were eventually supposed to be giving out, but because of the whole virus situation, it does change the idea. Like, are these players even going to be reserved to be receiving these cards if they ever enter the tournament? Especially those who've entered some tournament in PBG Live online when they play in the Octagon tournaments at the time. And even when they win, I'm not sure if they ever they might be sending you packs depending on who they know who you are, and they have to identify you sometimes. Some of them, like I said earlier, they do know most of their players because they've seen them around their stores most of the time, and we do mostly see it's mostly the main players here in Florida, especially in Miami here in PBG, that we do all the big things. So Machado will obviously kind of know that. So we do have to ask the question with him since we do want to recognize it because this does affect every player who joined that tournament or anyone who like ever received it. Angel was here a minute ago, but he had to leave, so we could possibly maybe ask him about it maybe the next time to see if he ever received any prize cards or anything or any of these championship specials. But I don't know. I guessing what they could do is they could save them for some people who never received it, or if they never give them out, as we might not know, they could save these two and say, okay, because of this situation we have with the coronaviruses, and then all the damages that was going on during the riots and protests and everything, we decided to be very fair since most players have been having a little difficulty with everything. We're going to make sure that in all fairness, here with the PBG and Castle Bandai, they should allow both the first and second championship pack cards to be as a special thing that to give out for most players or for those to win it, depending on how they get. And I think I think maybe is like if you enter, maybe you can get like one of the event packs, just for free, and then try to win the championship pack.
I mean, yeah, and if there's no events, maybe they have an online like event, like if it was a regional, and then they just give it there as crowd support.
Yeah. Like we said, we should discuss this with mostly the pro play games since they are the one who mostly do these hosts all the time in these championships. We should have a discussion about it. And since you mostly go to PPG more, you can obviously maybe ask it a question, and maybe we can finally get the answer to the discussion maybe on the next time in our podcast show.
Yeah, most definitely. Outside of that, because next week we're gonna be talking about since like we get tournament pack promos next week and red is on Monday. We could start talking about what tiers we think these decks are going to be, like what's going to be high tier, what's going to be 1.5 to. That's also pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Because like nobody's had a chance to play with the cards. What do you think?
We pretty much do. I mean, the difference is obviously we know that tournament packs you can always get, and then dash packs you're always going to be receiving it, and you can get them easier. It's just that when we were discussing championship packs, that's just a different story. At least these promo packs, we know that some of them are good, and then they have like these special cards that are really good. They have like that stupid part of the effect that's just gonna turn it off. So you know that it's gonna be like something that could be lower down in price and everything, and people can get. So
I'm just hoping that we get a good Visa tournament pack promo.
No, yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't mind another promo for Vegix. The Trunks deck, I wouldn't mind if I got another promo. Like, Gimme Force getting a promo would make sense. Like,
yes.
Promos this time around.
Yeah, something good, something effective, something that can actually help. Maybe we might get some cards that can even help the reason why we have these event cards so that we can be playing with them.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, let's just go ahead and rate these the championship cards, since we already know that the event card number 1 will always be the Goku one, and second I'm going to go with Zeno, and that's pretty much it because every other card pretty much sucked.
I'll go 8. Goku making an entrance. Zeno, it's the boy, and then probably the Invoker stuff. There'll probably be people playing that deck. I think most of them are fine. Like, I think Desert Measures, like I said, is a good reprint, and a new higher rarity for foil. But like, the Jace is the one that sticks out. That's just kind of like head scratching. Oh,
I think
all the other ones kind of like good or make sense. Like if you're thinking in a vacuum, but Jace is kind of the one that just. Oh, him? Oh, okay.
All right. Okay. So if I would have to say the best out of all these championships, because every one of these cards were actually pretty excellent, I'll tell you I've only like a couple for me was like pretty bad. So for my top 3 favorites, it's really a really good thing because they're all pretty good, So for me, it's gonna go with I have 3 of them, and so it's really hard to put on the top, and it's between the Meta Cooler, the Go Tanks, and the SS3 Gogeta, because these 3 were by far the best I ever saw. I read, and they're pretty much very effective to most other decks. So it's really tough to rank them. But for me, how to rank them, I do want to say I like the meta cooler. I do want to say that's number one because when I read that, I fell in love with how reading it more than I thought than when I read Go Tanks. But at the same time, it's a battle between the two. I would say that third will be SS3 Gogeta because it does mostly play for blue Saiyan card decks. But like it's still a very good effect. It's a dual attack. It can make sure your leader doesn't die. That you have to fight this card, and then you just gotta go ahead and you know stop your opponent. Um, I'm going with good to say it could be a tie between Go Takes and Metacooler. So for once, I'm only going to say it's a tie. So yeah, so second place is the Gogeta, and the tie will go to Metacooler because I do like the idea of drawing and having more tokens in the field. And I do love the Go Takes because you can play this in most yellow decks, and it's a free blocker revenge when you have more 15,000 power cards in your graveyard. So excellent. And another recognition I will say, you can also, if you're also playing the Android 20 combo card, really recommend because it's really good. So you can add a little bit more to the draw period depending on what deck you're making, so that you can go ahead and summon this free card and just screw your opponent. I love it.
Well, Medical is one. It's by far the best thing that they showed. Like, it's not even close how good that this card is. Like the other cards are pretty good, but like this Unison is by far the best one. Um, I don't like that's the best one, and it's clearly the best one. But for me, like I like the Vegex card and the Gohan card because like I like those decks. I like those characters. So, like just rating them how like I liking the characters. I probably go Metacooler 1, Gohan 2, Vegex 3. But like playability wise, the Gogeta unit is really good. So I think the Unisons kind of stole the show from this what are these
Championship packs.
championship packs, yeah. So I think the Unisons really stole the show from it.
Okay. And the weakest out of all, this one, it has to be the Zamasu extra card, the Divine Judgment, because it has that restriction where once you do play it, you are only forced to play 2 drops of the certain card it has. So and you don't, and the thing is, it's not really much of a main deck card; it's more of a side deck, and I don't really like it. It pretty much is just a replacement of the ban card. And I pretty much don't think it's that effective. It really sucks to say it because I do like it, and you do get a free energy, but you're paying 2 energies, and it also requires 2 blue. Most of them are like 2 blue energies, and it's just not really worth the time and effort to stick this in your deck and play it. So honestly, I think that's just the weakest. Like there could be like I didn't like the Vegeta either, and I think the Trunks was fine. I just didn't like how I just don't like compulsing in this game because like I said, combo was bad, but I'm not going to share them because they are a lot better than this card. So if I had to say, it's Divine Judgment as the weakest championship pack card here.
As much as I want to, we're going with the waifu Bulma. And
Wow.
I just think she has the least application. At least, I mean, because this is Yamcha. If your leader card is a Yamcha card, like I said, you have to build Yamcha a certain way just to like jam her into the deck. So I mean, I don't think she's a bad card, but I think out of all of these, I think she's probably going to be the least played one, at least that I could determine.
Oh wow. Okay, that's fair. If it said Earthling, then maybe it was a different story.
It would be a lot more decks could use it, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, if it said Earthling, like Bulma herself could use it in her own deck, for one. So yeah.
Anyway, yeah, so this is going to conclude. So I'm glad this is a little bit short episode. It was just you and me. It's the 2-man power trip here, guys. So we thank you so much for hearing us. Yeah, so we thank you so much for hearing us, our episode of the podcast today. I know it wasn't much since it was just me and Gio, and we just had like one guy here just listening to our review, but he wanted to hear us live, so I would say thank you very much, sir, for joining us. And of course, like I do want to thank Gio always again because he is the reason this podcast is happening. So and got my ass to move. So So,
I
oh,
thank you, sir.
yeah, no problem. Thanks for wasting my Fridays.
Yeah, yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome.
But anyway, guys, yes, thank you so much for joining us on our podcast. We hope next week we are going to go ahead and talk about these special packs now from our tournaments anyway. Again, did promise that we were going to get secret rares, but I miscalculated because sometimes Bandai likes to be a little tricky, so we will have to see those at the very end sometime near at the end of this month, as they always do. So we'll wait and see as they do their little special, can you guess what this card is, or do these comment specials that they do so they can reveal the secrets, and we'll go ahead and talk about them. We know one of them is Gogeta, and we'll just wait what that effect would be. But in the meantime, guys, thank you for joining us. So for all of us here in the DBS podcast, this is your Power Trip boy, Hunter Hurst Giovanni.
Ah,
And
Kevin, like, comment, subscribe. Stealing that for the second week in a row.
and of course, your boy, the Stone Cold Fortress Striker. Yes, and I meant that Power Trip, 2001. Remember that, wrestling fans, the quote-unquote greatest tag team. Greatest tag team of all time. You're welcome.
In the world.
Anyway, guys, enough bickering. Thank you so much for joining us. I do think our little audience member here enjoying us, so I think he might get some rest. Again, thank you, Giovanni, for coming to the show, and we hope to see you guys next week on our DBS podcast. And this is Fortress Striker and Giovanni signing off.